Let me start right with the main point, and it'll probably sting a little. There's one ordinary thing you wear on your face every single day, without taking it off, from morning until late at night. And this very thing adds to your age. Not a month, not half a year, but entire years. The most frustrating part is that you barely think about it. You've gotten so used to it that you've stopped noticing it. But everyone around you, they notice. And most likely, right now, as you're watching this video, this thing is on your face. Don't bother guessing. I know what crossed your mind in the first second. The fine lines around your eyes? No. The hairstyle that's long overdue for a refresh? Also, no. The neck we all dislike so much in photos? Wrong again. I'm talking about your frames, about the perfectly ordinary glasses you most likely picked out in a rush, on the fly, a few years back. And this small detail, this thin border around your eyes, can work against you more powerfully than any wrinkle. Let's be honest. How did you actually choose your current frames? Think back to that day. You stopped by the optical shop on your way somewhere, maybe after work, maybe on a weekend when you still had 100 other things to do. They brought out a tray of glasses. You tried on about 5 pairs. You were in a hurry. You asked the consultant, "Well, how do they look?" They said, "They suit you," and you took them. 15 minutes, no more. A quarter of an hour for something you'd then wear every single day for several years straight. Just think about that injustice. We spend longer choosing a handbag. We try on a coat for half an hour, turning in front of the mirror this way and that. But frames? In 15 minutes, on the run, on someone else's, they suit you. And yet frames aren't a handbag you leave at home when you feel like it. They're not a scarf that stays in the hallway. Your glasses are always on you. They're in every single photo of you. They're on every video call with your children and grandchildren. They're at every family gathering, every birthday, in every snapshot that will be looked at again later. You end up in the shot wearing those frames, literally everywhere. And if they were poorly chosen, which happens far more often than we'd like, then quietly, imperceptibly, day after day, they make you look older in those very photos. And later you look at the picture and think, "Oh, I came out so badly here." But it's not you. It's the frame. That's exactly why I decided to talk about this today. And you know what finally pushed me to do it? After the last video, where we worked through hair color after 50, I got more than 40 messages, and almost all of them were about one thing: glasses. What do you think about frames? Could you tell me which glasses don't age you? I wear thin metal frames. Is that okay? Over 40 women wrote to me about the same pain point, so the topic is alive, so it really touches you, and I couldn't just walk past it. So let me promise you what's coming next, so you understand why it's worth watching to the end. First, calmly and kindly, we'll go through 7 types of frames that quietly add years. 7 of the most common mistakes I see literally every day on the street, in cafes, at people's homes. I won't just point and say, "This is bad." I'll explain why it happens, where the gaze travels, how the light behaves, what happens to the face, and then, in the second half, we'll put together 3 frames that work the exact opposite way. Frames that refresh the face, open up the eyes, lift them just a touch. With shapes, with colors, with materials, and even with rough budgets. From very affordable options to good quality optics. So you walk away from this not with anxiety, but with a clear plan in your head. And let's play a little game right away, to make watching more fun. Right now, please put a number from 1 to 7 in the comments. That'll be your guess. Which of the 7 aging frames will turn out to be most similar to the ones you currently wear? Got your number down? Wonderful. And at the end of the video, you'll come back and check whether you guessed right. I'm genuinely curious to see what you write, and I'll try to reply to as many of you as I can. And probably a couple of words about what this channel even is, if you're here for the first time. Every week, I work through one detail of appearance after 50. Just one, calmly, point by point, without snobbery, without complicated fashion jargon, without that haughty tone you sometimes hear from the screen. You can't wear this anymore. You can't do that. I can't stand it. I'm not a fashion critic looking down on you. I'm more like your friend who just dug into this topic a little more, took my own knocks, and now wants to share honestly. I do have my own opinion. I don't hide it, but I'm always next to you, not across from you. And one more thing, so there's honesty between us from the start. I'm a woman over 50 myself. I personally went through all those mistakes with frames I'm going to tell you about today. So when I break something down, I'm not pulling it from a textbook. I lived through a lot of it personally, in my own photos, on my own face. And I still feel a little sad about the years I spent wearing things that didn't suit me at all, and I simply didn't know it. So that you don't lose those years the way I lost mine. That's why I'm recording this video. So get comfortable. Pour yourself some tea, if you'd like. And by the way, take off your glasses for a minute and set them down next to you. Later, at the end, we'll come back to them and look at them with new eyes. Deal? Then let's start with the first mistake. And honestly, with the most common one, nearly every other woman wears it, and almost no one suspects that this is precisely that quiet little addition to her age. So, mistake number one, and I didn't call it the most common for nothing, it's the thin metal frame. That barely visible one, gold or silver in color, thin as a wire. It seems like the perfect choice. It's light, modest, nothing extra. It doesn't draw attention. And that's the whole trap. It really doesn't draw attention to itself. But along with itself, it stops drawing attention to your eyes. A thin frame doesn't hold the face, doesn't give it support, and the viewer's gaze, instead of landing on your eyes, starts sliding around everywhere. Over the shadows under your eyes, over the little creases, over all the things we'd actually want to hide. I'll be honest, I wore thin gold frames myself for a full 4 years. They seemed so delicate to me, so feminine. And recently I was going through photos from that period, and my gaze in every single one came out somehow tired, dimmed. It wasn't me who was tired. The frames were. What should you wear instead? Choose a slightly more noticeable frame, with a soft but visible outline, in a warm color. Cognac, amber. It'll give your eyes their support back. Mistake number 2, rimless frames. Those are the ones where there's no frame at all. The lenses just seem to float in the air, held in place by thin little fittings. Again, the logic makes sense. The less glasses on the face, the better. But look what happens. When a lens has no edge, its border is still visible. It just now runs straight across your cheek, across your cheekbone, and a slight shadow and glare appear right there. And that line very often falls exactly where the age-related crease begins anyway, and it underlines precisely that. So we meant to hide the glasses, but instead we drew a pencil line around the very thing we most wanted to hide. Instead of invisible frames, choose a visible, soft outline. Let the frame honestly define the eye. It works like a gentle opening line. Mistake number 3. Heavy black plastic frames. Now here, many will be surprised because black glasses have long been considered stylish, fashionable, like the designers wear. And at 30, that really does work. But after 50, a stark black color next to the face creates too sharp a contrast. Skin becomes softer over time, lighter, warmer in tone, while a thick black frame is cold and harsh. And against that contrast, the surrounding skin looks even paler and duller, and any shadow looks deeper. The face seems to sink in, while the glasses move to the foreground. The fix is simple and very pleasing. The same frame volume, but in a warm color. Cognac, amber, soft brown, tortoiseshell. The volume stays, the support for the face stays, but the harshness goes away, and the face immediately warms up. Mistake number 4, narrow, elongated frames. These are glasses where the lens is very low, like a thin horizontal strip. They were terribly fashionable once upon a time, and many women are still wearing them out. Here's the problem. A narrow strip visually narrows things, presses down on the upper part of the face, as if pushing the eyes down from above. The eye already loses a bit of its openness with age, and here we're cropping it even more with this narrow line. The gaze ends up squinted, heavy. What to do? Choose a lens of medium height. Not huge, not covering half the face, but specifically medium, so the eye has room to breathe. This one change opens up the gaze literally instantly. And let me pause here for a moment. Let's take a little break from the list, because I want to tell you one thing, not as someone who analyzes eyewear, but simply as a woman over 50. You see, here's the thing. Lipstick wears off by lunchtime. We take off our earrings the moment we come home and exhale. The scarf stays in the hallway. Heels. Those are strictly for going out. But the frame? The frame is on your face always. Morning, afternoon, evening. At home, on the street, visiting friends. 7 days a week, no days off. It's the most constant thing in our look. More constant than any handbag, any coat. And yet, it's exactly the thing we treat most carelessly. We're willing to spend half an hour choosing a scarf, but we pick out a frame in 15 minutes. So I'm really asking you, start treating it as carefully as you treat your most beloved possession. It deserves it. It's with you more often than anything else. All right, exhale and let's move on. Mistake number 5, frames with a mirror-like gloss. These are very shiny, lacquered frames that literally gleam and reflect light. In the store, under the display lighting, they look dressy, expensive, festive. But in everyday life, this gloss catches every bit of glare and pulls all the light onto itself. And light on the face is precious, especially as we age. We need the eyes to shine. We need light to reach the skin. But a shiny frame steals that light for itself. The face next to it looks more matte, duller. Choose a frame with a matte or softly satin surface. It doesn't compete with the face for light. It gives the light back to you. Mistake number 6, frames with lavish decoration and large logos. Little rhinestones on the temples, metal accents, big recognizable brand markings on the side. It seems rich and noticeable. But the human eye is wired simply. It goes wherever there's sparkle and lots of detail. And instead of your eyes, the person you're talking to is looking at the rhinestones at your temple. You know, I have a friend who works in photography, and one day she very gently asked me to take off my glasses before a shot and said a phrase I've remembered ever since. In the final frames, it's not the face that shouts, it's the frame. That's the whole point. Glasses shouldn't shout. Choose a calm, clean frame with no extra noise and let your face do the shouting. And here I want to say one more important thing. Why opticians so often push exactly these options. Don't take it the wrong way. Normal people work there. But many of these frames are simply convenient for the seller. They're cheap to produce, easy to store, safe to offer to almost anyone, and they sit compactly on the display. In other words, the choice is often made for the store's convenience, not for your face. So when the consultant tells you this suits you, it's not always about you. Sometimes it's just about what happens to be on hand. And finally, mistake number 7. But this one isn't about the frame itself. It's about a harmful old rule that many people firmly believe in. It goes like this. Pick a frame in the shape opposite to your face. Round face, angular glasses, angular face, round ones. This rule has been migrating from article to article for decades, and it's far too crude. A face after 50 isn't a geometric shape. It's a living face with its softness, with its features. Chasing the opposite often means ending up with a frame that argues with your face instead of being friends with it. Forget this formula. Don't focus on the opposite shape. Focus on whether the frame opens up the eyes, whether it warms the face, whether it supports it. That's far more reliable. So there are our 7 mistakes. Check the comments. What number did you guess at the beginning? Did it match? And now we're moving on to the most pleasant part, the 3 frames that work in your favor. Well, we've dealt with the sad part. Now for the kind part. 3 frames that work in your favor. The ones that don't add years, but, on the contrary, freshen up the face, open up the gaze, and lift it just a little. And we'll go through them in more detail than all the bad ones, because this is what you need to take away with you. Frame number 1, with a softly lifted outer corner. This is a shape where the outer edge, the one closer to the temple, is lifted just slightly upward. Very subtly, nothing sharp, nothing bold, just a gentle upward movement. And this small movement does something amazing. It picks up the line that, with age, tends to drift downward in all of us and quietly leads it back up. The face seems to lift a bit, the gaze becomes livelier, more energetic. This is the most honest lift without any procedures, purely thanks to the shape. What color and material should you choose? A warm one is best. Cognac, amber, honey, soft tortoiseshell. The price range for these frames is very wide, from very affordable options on marketplaces to good designer eyewear. They suit almost everyone, and especially those whose gaze looks a little tired. They bring it back to life right away. And let me give you a test right away that you can do right there in the showroom during the fitting. Put on a frame like this and smile at yourself in the mirror. Genuinely, sincerely. And look, does the lifted corner of the frame support the line of your brow? Do they move in the same direction? If yes, if they rise together, this is your frame. If the corner argues with the brow, pulls in a different direction, set it aside, keep looking. This smile test is more reliable than any consultant's advice. Frame number 2, warm and translucent. This is a frame made of semi-transparent material in a warm shade. Honey, caramel, slightly pinkish, smoky beige. Many women are afraid of it, thinking translucent means invisible, which means it's useless. Well, no, it's visible. It holds the face, it has shape and volume. But at the same time, it doesn't create that harsh contrast that does us so much harm. It seems to dissolve into the tone of the skin, gently befriending it. A face next to such a frame looks fresh, rested. Nothing feels weighed down. And it's also wonderful because it suits almost any hair color. Gray, dyed, light, dark. The price range is also very wide. You can find both inexpensive and expensive options. This is probably the most versatile frame of the 3. If you're not sure where to start with this one. And here's the test for it. A translucent frame absolutely must be viewed in daylight. You see, here's the trick. The lighting in optician shops is deliberately made flattering, warm, soft, and everything looks beautiful there. So don't be shy, it's normal, to step outside, or at least to bring a mirror closer to the window, to real daylight. And look at it there. Translucent and warm shades behave completely differently in daylight than they do under a lamp. If the frame looks good by the window too, then it's truly good. Frame number 3, tortoiseshell. That's the one with the soft interplay of warm brown, amber, honey-colored spots, like the shell of a tortoise. hence the name. What makes it so wonderful? It has volume, it's noticeable, it honestly holds the face and gives it support. But at the same time, it's warm and not at all harsh, unlike black. In other words, we get all the benefits of a noticeable frame and none of its drawbacks. The pattern is also alive, with several shades at once, and it echoes the warm tone of the skin and beautifully sets off the eyes. It looks expensive even in inexpensive versions. That, by the way, is one of its delightful qualities. Price-wise, again, the whole range, from budget to designer, and the test for it is the most honest of all. Take a selfie, right there in the showroom, on your own phone, in this frame, and look at the photo. Here's the thing. In the mirror, we see ourselves as living, in motion, and we involuntarily play to ourselves a little. But a photograph is impartial. In this exact frame is how you'll appear in all your future photos, so take a look in advance. Snap a shot and calmly assess it. It's more honest than the mirror, believe me. Now, a small but very important technical section about the lenses themselves, because a beautiful frame on bad lenses loses half its meaning. After 50, many of us no longer have a simple minus prescription, but farsightedness, astigmatism, or progressive lenses. That's when a single lens covers both distance and near vision, and the edges of such lenses can be quite thick. So a medium-width frame isn't just for looks. It also hides that thick edge, so the lens doesn't bulge out as an ugly ridge. That's a very practical reason. And one more thing. There are thin, high-index aspheric lenses. They're noticeably thinner and lighter than regular ones. They really are worth the extra cost. Because the most common and frustrating mistake goes like this. You pick a wonderful frame, but decide to save on the lenses, and end up with thick, heavy glass. And the whole impression is ruined. Don't make that mistake. The frame and the lenses are a pair, and you can't skimp on one half of a pair. And let me ask you to do one thing today. Walk over to a window, into the daylight, and take a photo of yourself in the frames you're wearing right now. Just save that shot. And when you change your frames, and I really hope you'll give it a try, take a second photo and compare. You'll see everything for yourself without me. The difference will surprise you. In the next video, I promise a detailed breakdown by face shape, with tests that take literally 5 minutes, so you'll know exactly what you're looking for. So please subscribe so you don't miss it. I'd really love to see you again. And finally, something quite personal. Someone close to me has a habit. In front of the mirror, he always adjusts the temples of his glasses just a little, so the frame sits evenly, just right. And one day, I realized something simple. Glasses fit well when you don't feel them on your face at all. When they stop being a separate object and become part of your face. That's what to aim for. And if your current frames still feel like something foreign, separate from you, well, the issue might have nothing to do with your vision at all. Take care. See you in the next video.